Flight Boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon, Flight Boss, the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucker responsibilities. And right now, this video is more like a think piece. This is more like a think piece. Now, I'm going to take you on to my stream of thoughts so you can kind of get on this frequency vibration with me and ride this wave to see where it's leading. Because as I was going in this direction on my astral travels, it was leading me into nowhere. So, you know, even if y'all have answers out, because this is more of a think piece, and I'm even asking a question. So I'm going to be looking at this video comments, because if y'all got something that maybe I may be passing over or skipping over that I may not be aware of, let me know. But let's start this think pattern. Now, you know, what brought me into this thinking pattern is understanding certain energy signatures. For an example, you got certain prominent people who come on Earth, and their spirits jump inside of certain bodies to be born, so they come here and they push out certain influences. So when you look at people like Nikola or Tesla, you know what I'm saying, and prominent figures, it's anybody who a prominent figure. This is why it's important to look at their natal chart, because that astrological snapshot is the energy that this person is playing out. So whether once this person live out that existence and play out these energies, whether that person is living or not, to play out that energy, we always can go back and see what this person was. When we look at what this person was pushing out, we know that person was pushing out that information because of what they was influenced by, aka the astrological snapshot. So when we look at it, we always can go back and tap into that energy, or use that energy, or use that science for ourselves to tap into whatever energy that person was bringing out. Because once we know that person's planetary alignment, then once we try to do something or have a similar idea as that person, we could tap into their astrological snapshot and start and play out those energies, and then we'll create portals that play out through a person, place, or thing in your life that show out representations of the same idea as the person who naturally had that astrological snapshot. So boom, once I was jumping into that made me jump into, okay, let me figure out what's up with this Jesus energies and shit like that. And all these spirit energies that people cling to, that's very prominent in the spirit realm, and from bodies from beings that's not in bodies anymore. So then that took me on wanting to do an astrological reading on Jesus' birthday. Now we know it's just the influence that was on Earth at that time for us to even have a frequency vibration right now to be like, okay, this was the time and date that came. So even if it wasn't true, at the same time, what vibration was in the world to make people solidify that date? So then that made me want to look at, okay, let me see this frequency vibration of Jesus' birthday. So then you go to this December 25th, right? But then me being Archangel Uriel, right? That brought something interesting to me. Because when we talking about the dates, right? That made me start thinking about the Gregorian calendar and the Mayan calendars and shit. And then when you think about that, right? We're just the Gregorian calendar and shit like that. Once we're calculating now, we're calculating 2,000 years now, because we're saying it's 2018, right? But then my train of thought took me down the path of, okay, so since we're calculating time in that way, then we have no choice but when you bring up calendars, you're going to see BC, AD, right? So then when you look at what that actually means, BC means before Christ. So then it took me on an attribute. Now it was like, okay, so what is they saying? Is this something before? So there was a time before Christ on Earth. So then when you think about it in that way, now you have to start thinking like, okay, there was no such thing as a December 25th before Christ. So when we start to talk about AD and BC, they're calculating a day of what they call it, the year of the Lord or something like that, or the day Christ was born. Now Christianity will look at Jewish and say whatever Jewish is talking about is Jesus Christ, but Christ itself really ain't even correlated with Jesus. But Christianity try to mix it and mingle it, and then you got the Pope, then you got the calendar that's correlated to that. But really it's just the year of the Lord. We don't even know what Lord they're actually talking about. But this is what we talk about when we talk about AD. The word is it looked like domino or something. Dimini or Dynami or something like that. It's something like that, but it means the year of the Lord, or when Christ was born, or some shit like that. And then when you look at BC, that's before Christ. Now there was no such thing as December 25th, right? So where did that come from? See what I'm saying? That's something that's trying to come in the name of something that was here in the BC time. And it's not even actually that. You see what I'm saying? It's another form that's trying to come in the name of this type of form of Christ. So the December 25th, the Christianity, Jesus Christ is not even the real Christ. And then when we look at Christ, the year of the Lord, we're talking about a different deity here now. And so I don't know why the Pope was trying to correlate that, but then you have to think about this, right? When we think about the year, the years of BC and AD is not even calculated the way we calculate years now. It's like it's different how they calculate years. So you don't even really know the specific time that Christ was born, or the year of the Lord they was talking about was born, or you don't even know the actual year of the Lord that they're talking about. And you don't know if it was a time before that, or you don't know if that time was what created the time. You just know that it was a motherfucker here who calculated a calendar or a schedule based upon whatever they was saying was a Lord. So you know what? Let me go on Google real quick and see. Let me go on Google. Google.com. Okay. And I want to know, what Lord was they talking about? What Lord was they referring to in AD? What Lord is they referring to in AD? Now I need to know this. Okay, AD stands for, okay, that's the word, Anno Domini. Okay, yeah, and it's in Latin, it's for the year of the Lord, and it refers to specifically the birth of Jesus Christ. You can read it for yourself. AD. An alternative form of BC, AD has gained traction. Now what's going on here? Like, what Lord? Well, it's saying that the birth, specifically the birth of Jesus Christ. All right, so when was the birth of Jesus Christ? When was the birth of Jesus Christ? December 25th. What the fuck is going on here? They not even talking about before Christ. It say, okay, most scholars agree that he wasn't born. Nah, they saying it's he. But he wasn't born on that day or even the year AD. So now, it's just people throwing shit out here now. It's like, it's not even real. AD and BC is not even real. So it doesn't even make sense to go by no form of science that's correlated to AD and BC. So when you hear any history channel, or when you hear anybody or anything kick some science about AD and BC, and they actually go into detail like they know what they're talking about. They're basically talking about hand-me-down knowledge, doctrine knowledge, indoctrinated knowledge, or some type of form of spiritual religious text. And that they're talking about it like they're trying to teach you about it. Don't listen to them, because they're teaching you a form of indoctrination. And you're not learning anything but being indoctrinated, because BC and AD don't even exist. I just proved it. It don't even make sense. It don't make sense. You can't even count. You can't even do Jesus Christ NATO reading. So if you was to go put in December 25th, what year is you doing that? December 25th BC? That don't even make sense, right? So we don't know what kind of influence was on Earth at the time when this motherfucking Christ figure was born. We don't know what alignment was at the time. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist. So I'm not the type of person to sit here and say, oh, these motherfuckers and Greeks and motherfuckers hijacked, and the Pope hijacked the calendar, which they did. But their meaning and reasonings behind doing it, I don't know. I haven't talked to them personally, and then the time that I have to astral travel as a spirit and go back to that Pacific time. But being in this realm of reality and lost in the physical a little bit, it's hard to track that Pacific time, because that Pacific time that they're saying, BC and AD, is not even a real thing. It's not even the real time. How's somebody gonna start a calendar based upon the when some type of Lord was born, and we don't even know what Lord they talking about? So first of all, we don't know what Lord they talking about. Second of all, we don't know what time this was. What time reference was this? So we don't even know what planetary alignment was taking place to even have an understanding on what kind of energy was going on in the world at that time. Because, for an example, we know what's going on in the world at this time because of the planetary alignments. You know what's going on with you because of your planetary alignments. So, goddamn, the planets is what's controlling shit, and the influences. It's the level of life that's keeping our rotation under us being in the lower level of life. I don't agree on terms and conditions. I ain't in the lower life, but you know what I'm saying. Just to give y'all the understanding. So if we know how people thinking and the influences that's going on in the world right now based upon that, then that's how we would calculate what's going on based upon the energies that's being put out in the world based upon the beings they was thinking of now. But we don't know what they was thinking, because we don't know a Pacific time. And going towards BC and AD, that don't even make sense. So when we say, I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist, to be one, I could say, like, okay, someone hijacked the calendar and they're trying to keep from us this type of shit. But the actual spiritual person don't even ask these questions. So that'd be a wise spiritual person to even get into what I'm talking about now, and to get into that as a conspiracy theorist. I would say, yeah, that person's still a conspiracy theorist, but at least they're a wise one, because they asking the right kind of questions. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, they'd say some shit like, okay, someone must have hijacked the calendar for us not to know what energy influences was on the world at that time, to even know what Lord they was talking about. But see, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not even going to say the calendar was mixed and mangled around just for that simple reason right there, because the normal person don't even think on that level to even get there yet. So I'm not, see, you know what I'm saying? Once you unbiased balance for real in life, you're able to reach higher plateaus. So this is all where I'm going right now with this. So and then on top of this, the only examples that Google have is correlating to Jesus Christ, and then there's so much science out that can't even prove the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Shit, you can't even prove Jesus was real. So how is a calendar correlated on something that we don't even know is real? That's just like me going outside and say, today is the day that my God was born, and I start the calendar on that. And then thousands of years later, people don't even know what Pacific day, month, or year that was. Yet, we're calculating big-ass events in everybody's life based upon something that don't exist, based upon a date that was made up. So, I say that to say this. Don't listen to nobody talking about anything if it got anything to do with BC or AC. Because if BC is talking about before Christ, who said that is even real. And if we talking about, is it at the time before Christ? Now there's another term that I think they use too. I think they say common era. So BC means before common era, and AD would be after it. So when Christ was born, did the era become uncommon? So whoever Christ was made things uncommon? So everyone can't have things in common now? Like, what is the actual terminology and the science behind this? It's like there is none. It led, like I said, when I was astral traveling and I went down this road, it led to nowhere. So, you know, I'm gonna do a part 2 to try to investigate this motherfucking Christ character. And I think what sparked this motherfucker in the first place was when I did the video about what is Christ conscious? Just being aware of some Christ shit. But right now Christ is on trial. Because I need to find this motherfucking spiritual. Now he's in since they're referring it to he's in the spirit realm. But he's lost in the physical realm. And he may not even ever existed in the physical realm. And you see what I'm saying? So that motherfucker spirit in general is on trial. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air.